Welcome again back to Learn Economia. In this video also we will be dealing with a theory in the arena of microeconomics, which is the reveal preference theory. We have already covered the cardinal utility approach, ordinal utility approach by using budget line and indifference curve, and the next thing is reveal preference theory. When I say reveal preference theory, I would like to give you an intro that this two come under the ordinal utility approach. Actually, there have been two approaches in the ordinal utility approach. First one by using the indifference curve and the budget line, and second one is the reveal preference theory. Okay, going to the reveal preference theory in its details. Reveal preference theory is actually attributable to Samuelson. Samuelson was the person who has introduced this theory into the arena of economics, and we know that the consumer theory depends on the existence of preferences which would materialize into utility function. We have seen in the ordinal and cardinal utility approach that it is for the satisfaction that you gain from consuming a particular commodity, that you consume one commodity. So these utility functions are maximized by the consumer, but this is subject to a budget constraint. This is what we have seen in the case of ordinary utility approach by using budget line and indifference curve, right? So it therefore allows economists to consider the consumer behavior empirically. So this is a main difference between the ordinary utility approach by using indifference curve and budget line and the reveal preference approach. So in the case of indifference curve and a budget line approach, we have not considered the case of empirics. Empirical data is not collected and it is not tested. But in the case of reveal preference hypothesis, it is based on the empirical data and evidences. Okay. Now, there have been two different approaches to understand this reveal preference theory, and first one is known as the weak axiom of reveal preference, and secondly we have the strong axiom of reveal preference. Reveal preference hypothesis is mainly found to show a strong axiom of reveal preference. Okay, so coming to the weak axiom of reveal preference, you can see that if you are given two combinations A and B, then if A is revealed preferred to B, then it means that it is the case in every case. That is, whenever you are given the combination A, you will choose A only. That's it. Now coming to the strong axiom of reveal preference, here the axiom of transitivity matters. Here we consider two goods, that is good X and good Y. Here we know that as per the weak axiom of reveal preference, consumer's choice is A or B. If it is A or B today, that means that A or B tomorrow as well. Okay, but the strong axiom of reveal preference includes some more additional criteria. There are some additions to be made to the weak axiom of reveal preference to arrive at the strong axiom of reveal preference. So here what we have to do is that we have to consider a situation where A is chosen over B and B is chosen over C. We have three combinations and A is chosen over B and B is chosen over C. If this is the case, that means that A is chosen over C. This is the strong axiom of reveal preference, and reveal preference hypothesis put forward by Samuelson actually follows the strong axiom of reveal preference. Now coming to the assumptions of reveal preference hypothesis, it means that it assumes that the consumer tastes do not change. There is no change in the taste and preference of the consumer, and also his choice is for a combination. Choice reveals preference. If you choose a particular commodity, that means that you prefer that. Okay, then the consumer chooses only one combination at the given price income situation. That is, given the price of the commodities in the market and given your income, the consumer would be able to choose only one combination of two goods. Then he prefers a combination of more goods to less in any situation. We have seen that in the indifference curve approach and all. We have seen that when you move from one indifference curve to another indifference curve, the upper indifference curve shows more satisfaction because the upper indifference curve could be attained only with the more income. Okay, so here also it means that every rational consumer would like to maximize his utility and maximize the satisfaction. So to maximize his satisfaction, he always prefer more goods to less goods. Okay, then the consumer's choice is based on strong ordering that we have already discussed, and it assumes the consistency of consumer behavior. Consistency, the same thing as we have discussed in the case of weak axiom of revealed preference, then this theory is based on the assumption of transitivity. Here comes a strong axiom of revealed preference. Then the income elasticity of demand is positive. What is income elasticity? Percentage change in quantity demanded by percentage change in income. This is positive in the case of the revealed preference hypothesis. Okay. So if somebody asks you what revealed preference hypothesis is, you will be able to answer the question in a single sentence. You can say that it is the choice that reveals a preference. If you say choice reveals preference, that is the answer. So Samuelson's theory of demand is actually based on the revealed preference axiom or hypothesis, which actually states that choice reveals preference. Keeping this into account, a consumer buys a combination of two commodities either because he likes that combination in relation to others or because this is cheaper than others. So there can be two possibilities. Okay. So here we are going to explain revealed preference hypothesis using diagram. So it's very important. Suppose that a consumer buy combination A rather than combination B, C or D. Combination A is given on the line and B, C, D and E, everything is given on the line. Okay, you can see that the consumer chooses combination A. That just suppose that. So that is, if he chooses a combination A, that means that he reveals his preference for that combination over all the other alternative combinations he could have purchased. He can do this for two reasons. First of all, combination A can be cheaper than other combinations B, C, D, etc. And secondly, combination A can be dearer than others, and even he likes it more than the other combination. As we have already discussed, if one prefers one combination or if one chooses one combination, that means that there can be two possibilities, either because he likes that combination or because the preferred combination is cheaper than others. Okay, in such a situation it can be said that A is revealed preferred to B, C, D, etc. because here what we assume is that when we go for a particular combination over the others, that shows that we reveal our preference for that particular combination. And there one possibility is that all the other combinations are inferior to the combination that we have already chosen. Okay, now given the income and prices of the two commodities, given the price of the two commodities and the income of the consumer, just assume that LM is a price income line of the consumer. LM is a price income line where in this diagram actually we measure good X on the X axis and Y on the good Y on the Y axis. Okay, here there is a triangle. After joining L and M, we can form a triangle which is known as OLM. Okay, OLM is a triangle, and inside the triangle, the area inside the triangle show you the area of choice for the consumer, which shows a various combination of X and Y on a given price income situations. Okay, the consumer can choose any combinations that can be on the budget, on the price income line or below the price income line. So this LM is a price income line which sets some kind of limits or some kind of constraint on the consumer, because he won't be able to move above the line because he doesn't have income to move above the line. Okay, in other words, consumer can choose any combination between A and B on the line LM or between C or D or below the line. Now, if he chooses a point A, that means that, as I have already told you, he reveals his preference for that particular combination, and C, D, etc. are inferior to A because they are below the price income line LM. But the combination E, just think about the combination. We know that this combination is lying outside the line and outside the triangle OLM. Then what is happening here? If a consumer chooses combination E, that is actually beyond the reach of the consumer, right? Because he doesn't have that much income to go for the combination E. That is outside his price income line. So that is not possible. Therefore, A is revealed preferred to all the other alternative combination available to consumer within and on the triangle OLM. Now, just understand the superiority of the revealed preference theory over all the other approaches to understand consumer behavior. Here, as we have already mentioned, this is based on the consumer behavior by using empirical studies. So this is actually this actually takes into consideration the psychological introspective information about the behavior of the consumer. That is actually, it presents a behavioralistic analysis or based on the observed consumer behavior in the market. Okay, we know that for example, if a consumer goes to the market and purchase something from the market by using his income, by considering the prices of goods in the market, that means that, so this is what is understood or this is what is done in the case of revealed preference theory. Revealed preference theory is actually based on the observed behavior of the consumer in the market. Okay, then the Samuelson believes that there is discontinuity because the consumer can have only one combination of commodity. Even though there have been many points on the price income line, the consumer can choose only one combination. That's it. Then Samuelson demand theorem is actually superior because it completely dispenses the assumption that consumer always maximizes his satisfaction. There can be possibilities the consumer doesn't maximize the satisfaction. For example, if we have already seen that there can be two possibilities for a consumer to go for a particular combination of commodity. If he go for that one particular combination, it's just because if the commodity is dearer, then you can see that, or commodity is cheaper, then you can see that he actually, even if he doesn't like that product, he just because it is cheaper, he goes for that particular combination. So that doesn't mean that in this case, in the consumer, even if he purchase one combination, it can be actually even if he purchases one combination, that doesn't mean that he likes that product, okay, or he likes that combination. He purchases that combination just because it is cheaper. Then, in the first stage of Samuelson demand theorem, overcompensation effect is realistic as an explanation of consumer behavior than the Hicksian substitution effect. We have already covered the income effect and substitution effect and all, but this is known as, so here, rather than considering the Hicksian substitution effect, it's better to consider the Samuelson demand theorem. When I say Samuelson demand theorem, it is very same as the revealed preference hypothesis. Now, this theory provides the basis for the welfare economics in terms of the observed behavior based on the consistent choice. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos. I'll be uploading many videos in the arena of microeconomics and other fields of economics as well. Okay, thank you. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos. Okay.